Hello and welcome to another episode of my Facts and Glitches series, where I continue to showcase more of what I've learned about GTA 5 in my over 14,000 hours of playing the game and from my awesome viewers. At the Yellow Jack Inn, there is a jukebox with many interesting, yet barely readable, song names. The ones I am able to make out include Where's the Stickers? Country Crap? Max. Blue Screen Song. I'm on a manhunt. I ran out of ideas, Filler Track, and Overtime Blues. Clearly the Rockstar employee assigned to make these names had a great sense of humor, as well as a particular grievance with someone called Max. Your actions prior to some missions in GTA 5 can subtly change the game's dialogue. For example, at the start of the mission Minor Turbulence, Ron will suggest to Trevor that he should join Oscar Guzman's weapon trafficking business in Grapeseed.
Maybe if you'd buy into Oscar's business? I'm hearing there's a lot of bounce in the firearms sector.
Well, I heard there's a lot of bounce in your head.
However, if the hangar used to activate this business is bought before the mission,
Hey, T! Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
Trevor's stake in it will instead be mentioned.
There's Oscar's business. That's bringing cash in.
My stake in Oscar's thing ain't under the TP conglomerate umbrella. I want my own brand success.
Do you remember the security guard that the gang kills in Prologue? No, I don't mean Jasper's, I mean the other Bobcat security guard, Alex, who can be found dead in the security booth outside. Besides his name being visible on his name tag, not much is known about him, except that he was shot and killed early in the heist, likely by Brad or Trevor. Remember that Michael promised Dave that this staged heist would be a clean job with no casualties.
You said you'd clean the whole thing up back in North Yankton.
And you told me it'd be a clean job, no casualties.
So it's funny to realize that he failed his promise before we even started the game. Shooting an explosive weapon, immediately ragdolling, and then aiming whilst looking down will not only cause your character to reload through their body, but they will also bend over in a way that would require them to have no spine. If you take Tracy's Issi from Michael's house as either Franklin or Trevor, you'll receive a text from Michael accusing you of stealing it. Interestingly though, you will still get this text when approaching in any Issi, and this even happens when Tracy's actual Issi is not even at the house at all. What's even stranger is that Jimmy will not be able to tell the difference between Tracy's Issi and yours, and he will therefore get in it and drive it if it's accessible to him. Also, regardless of which Issi Jimmy is in, he will for some reason talk about it as if it were his bike and refer to Franklin and Trevor as Michael, which makes for some very weird interactions.
If you, Trevor, or Franklin are driving when I'm on a bike, I'm screwed! Do I look thinner? Why am I doing this if I'm not getting thinner? There's a reason why we invented the combustion engine.
The mission-dazed little girl sees Michael swim over to a yacht and leave with Tracy on a jet ski whilst being chased by two men.
Daddy, you just killed him!
However, if you pick up a sniper rifle from the map before you start the mission, you can shoot the enemies while still on the pier. The result is that when you swim over to the yacht, the NPCs will be stuck, strangely duplicated, and the cutscene won't trigger. In this state, you are able to kill everyone without failing the mission. As you've broken the mission, you obviously can't progress, even the jet skis can't be ridden. To fix things, you of course just need to mission fail so you can go back and restart the scene. There are large posters in the metro stations that feature an early version of the Galavanta Baller, as well as a very incomplete Los Santos. Notably, many houses and buildings are absent, especially in the areas of Mirror Park and the Vinewood Hills. Surprisingly, the Vinewood sign is also missing, with the hills that would usually surround it seemingly lacking any vegetation or roads. I think this is clear evidence that many of the in-game advertisements were created very early on in development. There's an extremely easy way to freeze your in-game time in GTA 5. After the mission Accepting the Truth, you will be prompted to donate $5,000 to the Epsilon program through their website.
5,000.
After donating, you unlock a presentation by Chris Famage.
You have it in you to be happy, but are surrounded by people that you must let go.
By simply pausing the game during this presentation and loading a save file, your time of day will become frozen to whatever it is in that save file. To unfreeze the time, you simply start the presentation again and exit the browser normally. Turns out Marnie wasn't kidding about their incredible education tool.
Kiflum.
Okay.
There are two very strange machines located by the railway in Paleto Bay. When hit, they spawn a movable plank of wood that for some reason is very low in detail. The machines themselves also mostly disappear when you move a small distance away. Why these exist in this way, and why there's only 2 of them, we will never know. When you start the mission Marriage Counseling, upon seeing rackets at the front door, Michael storms upstairs to catch Amanda with the tennis coach in their bed. Interestingly, you can avoid starting the mission and go up to their room early via the back door or garage. Doing this reveals that the room is locked, with Michael even having dialogue that acknowledges this.
Door's locked. Hello, it's locked.
While I suspect this is meant to suggest that Amanda and the tennis pro are already in there, if we use mods, we can see that the room is empty. There is a garage near the vanilla unicorn with the name Cartoon Network. This is an obvious reference by Rockstar to the TV channel Cartoon Network. On the Paleto score setup, the cops that respond to the disturbance made at the bank are in LSPD uniforms despite driving sheriff cruisers. While you could assume this was intentional to suggest a heightened response, the appearance of sheriffs during the actual Paleto heist later on suggests this was an error.
Sweet mother of shit.
During Mr. Phillips, it is possible to break Wade in an interesting way. At the end of the shootout with the Lost, you need to get into your vehicle before Wade and Ron. If you then drive to the location of Ortega's trailer, while having them follow you on foot instead of getting into the vehicle, something interesting will happen if you let them get in this area. Prior to this point, there is meant to be a sequence where Wade leaves.
Yeah, pick me up some sticky bombs.
But because we didn't allow this sequence to play out, it will now play out in the cutscene, resulting in Wade being stuck to the car. After the cutscene, he will simply stand in place, and because the game assumes that he's already left, killing him will not fail the mission.
If I say I'm fucking dead, then fucking dead I am!
There are conflicting sources for Michael's exact age in GTA 5. Broadly, the coroner on the mission Dead Man Walking says Michael appears to be in his late 40s.
White male, overweight, in his late 40s.
While Michael's cut profile on the in-game dating website Hush Mush states his age is 44. However, Trevor on the mission Nervous Ron explicitly states that Michael is 45.
Michael fucking Townley, right? Bitch wife, 2 kids, 45, find him?
Despite this, most people consider Michael to be 48, because the birth year of 1965 that is on his fake grave would make him that age during the story. Trevor's memorial tattoo for Michael also features this year, which backs up its validity, given that he would have had ample opportunity to find out when Michael was actually born. Although technically Trevor could have got that year from the fake grave, and Michael could have made up whatever year he wanted for it, but that seems needlessly complicated.
I never gave it any thought.
You treacherous piece of shit!
The discrepancies are likely either lies, rounding down, or content made earlier in development when the game was intended to release earlier, and therefore Michael would have been younger, as the date of the game would have been set before. When you're parachuting, activating parachute precision control enables you to significantly slow your descent. However, it is less than known that holding it will net you the furthest possible distance when compared to parachuting normally. As you can see, by using the slower descent, I'm able to make it from the Maze Bank Tower to the pier, which is an insane amount of distance. I am sure everyone's familiar with the music that plays when you pause the game. However, there is a rarely heard high-intensity version of the pause track that plays only in very specific instances. This version of the track is called Greyhound, and it is best heard during the first flight school lesson in GTA Online. Honestly, this might be the best track in the game. They probably should have used it in more places. Do you know all of the airlines in GTA 5? Broadly speaking, there are 6 of them, when you don't include private or military charters. Fly US is by far the most prominent airline in the game. The Liberty City National Exchange calls them a once great American airline, now left with a fleet of aging death traps that they no longer can afford to repair or safety check. They run many of the facilities at the airport, including the air tugs and Ripleys that can be seen driving around. They also share a hangar with Devon Weston, where on the mission Legal Trouble, Molly is killed by a plane that they don't even own.
Stop! Look out!
Despite this, Fly US's stock is the only one to plummet after the mission, before rebounding after the mission meltdown. Fly US is also Michael's airline of choice when flying to North Yankton during Bury the Hatchet, with his ticket from the airline later being kept in his house. Then there's Kaipira, who owns one of the static planes at the airport. Interestingly, this airline has a travel agency all the way out in North Yankton, which suggests that they fly there along with Fly US. Air Hurler is likely a play on the word hurling, and there is not much of note about them, but they do have a scrapped plane that can be found at the scrapyard in the desert. And they own the plane that killed Molly. Adios Airlines owns one of the largest hangars at the airport, which can be found next to Fly US's. The last two airlines, MyFly and Air Emu, do not operate the pilotable 747s and static 737s that are used by other airliners. They instead both predominantly use the Shamal, a small regional jet. This is actually sort of strange for Air Emu, because the stock exchange lists them as an international airline. Lastly, on the mission card Libre, the plane that Michael shoots down is an Air Emu Shamal.
Plane's coming down. You on it?
Placing and then detonating a large amount of sticky bombs results in each bomb blowing up one after the other in the exact same order in which they were placed. While under normal circumstances your C4 are immune to the explosions of your other C4, if you shoot your C4, then their explosions will be able to blow up other C4. When all the bombs are placed in one place, this results in a very concentrated explosion. So that's the end of the episode. Thank you for watching. If you think you know of anything that would be of interest to this series, feel free to add it to my Discord, especially if you know any out of bounds glitches, because we used 2 an episode, we are running out. Thanks for watching, and I wish you all the best.